And Reverend Haynes and I are fighting for progressive issues like free education, free universal health care, and affordable housing. All three of these things that people say are impossible because it costs too much, Israel gives to all of its citizens. And we are giving them billions and billions of dollars to then commit atrocities in our name. I think that's unacceptable.
For me, if we're going to be the United States of America, and that is, again, being true to what we said on paper, we must end the war that says if you are not like, that means you are less than.
Joining us now is Dr. Frederick Haynes and Zishan Hafiz. They're a progressive power duo, I like that description, in North Texas. And it turns out the Texas redistricting might backfire on the Republicans. So let's talk about it. Welcome, guys.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, no problem.
I appreciate it. It's great to see you, Cenk.
Yeah, great to see you guys.
I appreciate what you do for independent journalism. It's amazing.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you saying that. All right.
And let me personally testify. In 2010, I did a sermon after Obama came out for ensuring that there's equality when it comes to marriage. And I did a sermon, and next thing I know, I'm famous, and I didn't know it. And it's because the Young Turks had just played my sermon on repeat. And as a consequence, I'm hearing all of this about me, and I'm saying, wow, I'm famous. And so I want to thank you all for that. That was my first foray into fame, thanks to the Young Turks.
Well, Reverend Haynes, you deserved it, and it was a beautiful sermon. And so we just highlight good folks, and I appreciate you calling that out. Let me start with you, Reverend Haynes. So they did this redistricting, and it looks like you're going to be the presumptive Democratic nominee in your district, which is Texas 30, right? So tell me if these two districts are supposed to be among the blue ones, or they're supposed to be among the contested ones.
Well, District 30 is supposed to be the one where Democrats should win. It should be blue. And so we are unashamedly, unapologetically running as progressives, radical progressives at that. At the same time, what they did not count on when it comes to District 33 is that my man Zishan would be running. And so there's an energy that he is bringing to this race, because not only does he make sense for such a time as this, but he is making sense if this country is going to have the kind of future that it claims it wants and that we really deserve. And so I'm convinced that, and forgive me for the biblical reference here, what they intended for evil is going to be worked for good.
So, but I'm going to get to Zishan in a second, but in your case, Reverend Haynes, so if you're, the presumptive nominee and it's a blue district, and you just called yourself a radical progressive, then the redistricting is going to put at least one more radical progressive into Congress, isn't it?
Well, that's the plan. And so we want to, now I will say, I appreciate saying I'm the presumptive nominee, but I'm running like I'm way behind because it's very important that we don't take anyone for granted. We're listening to all of our constituents and making sure that everyone feels a part of this movement that we're trying to generate that is not limited to District 30, but it's something that we need if we're going to turn this country around.
Yeah. Now, Zishan, you're in a different district, and that's Texas 33, and that one's a little bit tougher. That one's got a three-way race. It's got Julie Johnson in there, but also Colin Allred. So Colin Allred, of course, was an incumbent. Why are you in that race? Because in the old days, Zishan, what they would have said is, well, we already have a Democratic incumbent in that race. What do we need you for?
Well, Cenk, it's interesting because I actually started my exploratory committee back in May of last year before the redistricting occurred, this racial gerrymandering which occurred here in Texas. And I was running against Mark Vesey. And I announced in August, and I live in the district, later on in December, after the redistricting occurred, instead of Julie doing what Taylor Ramett did in a state Senate seat right next to me, which is to turn a Trump district blue. She decided she would forum shop and join my district. And obviously, as you mentioned, Colin Allred was in Congress in 2024. But the problem with both Julie Johnson and Colin Allred is they are running this race as though they are still running in the old District 32, which was a close district. Maybe they had to run moderate on their stances. District 33 and District 30 are two of the bluest districts in the entire country. So they should not be represented by centrist, moderate, corporatist Democrats who are going to play it safe at a time when our country is having an authoritarian takeover by a wannabe fascist. In a time like this, gradual incrementalism and centrism is not going to get the job done. We need bold progressive voices. And that's why Reverend Haynes and I are running on this ticket together for District 30 and District 33 for Trump's plan to backfire on him, because he'll get two of his most vociferous opponents coming to him from the heart of Texas.
So Zishan, people, not people, mainstream media misuse the word centrist and moderate. It should mean what the majority of Americans believe, but it's never meant that on television and in the New York Times, et cetera. It usually means radical corporatist, but that we're going to reframe as centrist so they sound more palatable, right? So, but tell me for Julie Johnson and Colin Allred, what is it about their policies that are unacceptably corporate or establishment that you're pointing out here?
Well, there's three areas that I think are very important to the American people right now. One is the affordability crisis. Julie Johnson just put out an ad about how she's going to sign on to the Raise the Wage Act. All the Raise the Wage Act does is raise the wage to $9.50 an hour. It's cents when we need way more to actually get something done. Where I'm fighting for a minimum of a $20 to $25 living wage, and that's what we need all across the country. I've been fighting for Medicare for all from day one. Colin Allred refuses to sign on to Medicare for all. I'm fighting for free public education at the university level. That's something that we need during an affordability crisis, so people don't have to be indebted by education. I'm fighting to make sure, and these are the same things that Reverend Haynes is fighting for. We are fighting for affordable housing by investing in millions of affordable housing units all across the country. We are fighting to raise the Social Security benefits by at least $200 a month by raising the cap on Social Security. We are fighting for a Green New Deal. All these things that we are fighting for, Colin and Julie are not on the right side of. And when we talk about the issues that matter to every single Democrat, line in the sand issues, these should be line in the sand issues for anyone, but they are line in the sand issues for Democrats. Both Reverend Haynes and I are proudly on the right side of history, meaning, one, we are completely, unapologetically, 100% against AIPAC and the genocide. We're going to call it what it is. It is a genocide. We are going to put an end to the apartheid state of Israel, and we're going to fight for self-determination for the Palestinian people. And the reason why we're going to do that is because we refuse AIPAC money, unlike Julie Johnson and Colin Allred, who have received a combined $700,000 from AIPAC and the pro-Israel lobby. That's 700,000 reasons to vote against your best interests. And number two, the other major line in the sand issue is ICE. Both Reverend Haynes and I have been very vocal on this. We believe it's not okay to we think it's not only okay, we have to abolish ICE, but we must now prosecute ICE. That means we must prosecute ICE agents for their crimes, murdering people on the streets, raping women in detention centers, beating up women and children in cars, attacking civilian neighborhoods. They're using Gestapo-like tactics that they were trained on by the Israeli Defense Forces, and that is unacceptable. Unfortunately, Colin and Julie say we can somehow reform ICE. Well, we both know that ICE is an organization that has been recruiting from the white supremacy movement. It is a rotten organization, one that must be eliminated from government, and there's about a dozen other agencies that deal with immigration enforcement but have accountability. They have people that have IDs, that have badges, that wear uniforms, that don't wear masks, that have body cameras, and don't go around in unmarked cars terrorizing communities of color. On these important issues, the issues that matter to the American people, Reverend Haynes and I are on the right side of history. And unfortunately, Julie Johnson, Colin Allred, and many of the establishment Democrats who have failed America and failed the American democracy, they are on the wrong side of these issues.
Okay, so you already got the votes of the folks who signed the pledge on OperationConsequences.com, because they pledged to never vote for somebody taking Israeli lobby money. And Colin Allred and Julie Johnson apparently work for Israel, so that settles that issue. I mean, they are literally getting paid to vote with Israel. And It's not like they're getting paid $70. They're getting paid $700,000. So, okay, that's super clear. Reverend Haynes, let me bring you back in because you did something bold. You know, you're in a, again, I love that you're not taking it easy, et cetera, and I'm not saying you're definitely gonna win. I'm just saying you're in a little bit more comfortable situation than Zishan is with a couple of incumbents, et cetera. But you decided to back Zishan and endorse him. In the old days, that would have cost you, a lot. The Democratic Party would have come crashing down on you. How dare you? You must back the corporate candidates. So why did you take that kind of risk, and has there been any blowback?
Well, it's simple. Number one, I agree with what Zishan is pushing by way of policies. It's simple. He has a vision that, and I love what he said, is on the right side of history. It's also on the right side of where the American people are. It's on the right side of creating the kind of future that we need to make this country what it should become and has the possibility to become. And so, ironically, my daughter, who is a political junkie, she was just going through some things on social media, and she saw him speaking and the policies that he was so brilliantly articulating. And she called me up and said, "Daddy, do you know him?" I said, "We've met on 1 or 2 occasions, I believe." And then the very next day, I'll never will forget this, he and I were at a rally standing with persons as it relates to Social Security and raising the cap on Social Security. We are at a rally the very next day. I can guarantee you there were no other candidates who were at that rally except for Zishan and myself. And so I felt it was poetic, at least, if not prophetic and providential, that our paths crossed just one day after the conversation I had with my daughter. And again, we hit it off immediately. Every time we came in contact with each other, it just got, forgive me, gooder and gooder. Because again, we're on the same page. We have a vision that is similar for what this country should become and what it can become and has the potential to become. Martin Luther King Jr. in his last speech said, "Be true to what you said on paper." Zishan has a vision that will cause this country to be true to what it said on paper. So again, when it came to speaking, Reverend Jesse Jackson often talked when he was running for the presidency in '84 and '88 about the call of conscience and doing what the conscience is saying as opposed to what a poll is saying. And so as far as I was concerned, I went with not only my heart, but with my head when it comes to a similar vision for what this country can do and what it can become. And so blowback, I'll just say that I could care less.
Okay, I love it. All right, so I want to ask you guys some personal questions, have a little bit of fun, and get to know you guys. But before I do that, super quick, so both of you are not taking Israeli money. How about corporate PAC money? Dr. Haynes, no? No. Sean?
Not only can we not take corporate PAC money, but we must end Citizens United. And both Reverend Haynes and I will be on the forefront of ending Citizens United. And we won't be like those Democrats like Julie Johnson who claim that she's working to end Citizens United while she takes $500,000 from corporate PACs. We will never take a dime of corporate PAC money, and we will fight to end the corporate corruption which owns our government right now.
Yeah, and for the audience at home, look, it isn't about Israel. It's about if you take money from anyone, including ExxonMobil and Pfizer and Lockheed Martin, you work for them, right? And you don't work for your voters. So I love that stance, guys. And we'll put the links down below if you're watching this later on any platform. But ZSeanForTexas.com and HaynesForCongress.com. They don't take corporate PAC money, so then you guys got to step up if you agree and make sure you're supporting folks who are going to be independent and not just take orders. It's a new day in America, man. I mean, look, guys, honestly, if you were running before, and I did like 2 years ago or 4 years ago for sure, and you told me you weren't going to listen to Democratic leadership, I wouldn't believe you. They always go in and listen to exactly what Democratic leadership tells them to do. They always bow their heads, etc. But I get a sense from you two brothers that you are not going to listen. Okay, and I appreciate that. Okay, all right. So Zishan, what do you do for a living before you got into politics?
So I am a father first. I'm proudly the father of my fourth son, Sufyan, who was just born 2 weeks ago. He's the fourth son that me and my wife Fatma share. I have been working in the technology space for over a decade. Originally, I was an attorney. I went to Georgetown Law, and I worked at the Harrison Institute of Public Policy. I went to Georgetown to study public policy, and I worked at the Harrison Institute where I focused on labor and workers' rights, working directly with the AFL-CIO and the International Labor Organization. And then I got my MBA. Before I got my MBA, I met my wife. After I got my MBA from the University of Virginia, I spent time in technology at companies like Google and Microsoft. So yes, I know their secrets and I know the problems that they have. And I'm going to be leading on areas like the Digital Bill of Rights to protect people from big tech. But I also like to spend a lot of my time coaching and giving back to the community. I'm a coach. I actually just got back from soccer practice. And one of the things I think about, Cenk, to be honest, because I know this is something you're also very passionate about, and I'm sure Reverend Haynes thinks about this as well, is the fact that the kids that I'm coaching here, they have the same rights to living as the kids that are suffering in Gaza. Like they are dealing with not only this persecution, but just recently they tried to destroy the last soccer area for these kids to go practice in, this last soccer pitch. And luckily Miss Rachel came in, great humanitarian, and saved this soccer pitch. But the reality is it's not just soccer. These kids don't have a life that they can even live. When I took my son home, Sufyan, my baby, and we thought about the fact that we're so lucky not only that we had this amazing healthcare in America, which by the way, healthcare should be a human right for all Americans, and that's why Reverend Haynes and I support Medicare for all. But what about all the kids in Gaza that don't even have any sort of health care, not even hospitals, because they've all been demolished, that are lucky to survive past their birth. And then if they get to their house, they don't have a house left because it's been demolished and destroyed. And so for me as a coach right now, and as a parent, and as someone who's been a community leader, I've been involved with DFW Refugee Outreach Services, which is an organization dedicated to helping refugees get resettled in our country, helping them get skills so they can be productive members of society. All these organizations and community organizations that I'm involved with is about giving back to the community and being a public servant. Because the one thing that Reverend Haynes and I share is neither of us are politicians. Right. You know, neither of us spent time as mayors, as city council members, as state representatives and state senators and got bought by different people and got corrupt over the years. Both of us are public servants. If you look at Reverend Haynes, he is the forefront, one of the greatest ministers across the country. He is such an amazing leader. Someone who, by the way, I want you to know, has been on the right side of the Palestine issue for a very long time. He has been speaking out at protests and rallies for a long time, long before everyone started to jump on board. Reverend Haynes has been on the forefront of justice and social justice issues. And that's why I'm so proud to be standing next to Reverend Haynes as we run together to bring a progressive vision to not only Texas, but all of America.
Yeah, so a couple of quick comments before I go to Reverend Haynes. Miss Rachel is kind of an angel. I didn't know the story that you just told about her. And you could tell how evil the Israeli lobby is, that they targeted her for destruction. Like, just, it doesn't get any worse. And kids, we all want all the kids to be better off. And so we give so much money to Israel. And hey, good, their kids are taken care of. They have paid family leave so their moms and dads can be with them after they give birth. We don't. Certainly the Palestinians don't. The Palestinians are often get murdered after they're born by the Israelis. Over 1,000 kids under the age of 1, babies, killed by the Israelis in Gaza. And the Israelis have paid family leave, and they also have universal health care, take care of the kids, but we don't. But we sent over $300 billion to Israel, so.
Jack, can I just add one more thing there that's very important, I think that you brought up? The things that we just mentioned, Reverend Haynes and I are fighting for progressive issues like free education, free universal health care, and affordable housing. All three of these things that people say are impossible because it costs too much, Israel gives to all of its citizens. And we are giving them billions and billions of dollars to then commit atrocities in our name. I think that's unacceptable. And to be honest, one of the people I'm running against, Julie Johnson, she has gone so far to prevent even conversations about Palestine from happening. As a matter of fact, the AFL-CIO, as part of their interview process, was requiring all the candidates to have a conversation about Palestine. And every candidate agreed, except for Julie Johnson. And she prevented the conversation from happening. And this is something that no one knows about. But the fact is the AFL-CIO endorsement screening process was completely changed because of one individual who was so bought by the Zionist lobby, so bought by AIPAC, that she wouldn't even have a conversation about Palestine. And she didn't let any other person who was seeking the AFL-CIO endorsement from any certain level sign on and have that conversation. So to me, that's appalling. And that is why I'm so motivated every day to fight as hard as I can to make sure that we do not get any more Zionists in Congress. They're going to fight for the Israeli people instead of the American people and allow for these atrocities to continue to occur.
Yeah, don't vote for robots. That's it. I mean, Julie Jones and Colin Allred are just robots. They take input from donors, output for donors. They vote for them. You'd be nuts to vote for people who raise their hand and go, I'll take bribes. I'll take a bribe. I've got an open auction on Allred, open auction on Julie Johnson. It's ridiculous. So, and then I won't talk about it because my donors ban me from talking about it. Well, then okay, your donors should ban you from Congress. Go home, clean up and go home. All right, Reverend Haynes, help me understand how one becomes a reverend. When did you first think, okay, you know what, maybe this is the right calling for me, and how'd you get into it?
Wow. Well, first I have to say that both my father and grandfather, for whom I'm named, were pastors. My grandfather, Frederick Douglass Haynes Sr., who named himself, ironically, after the noted abolitionist, when he was just 9 years old, and had read so much about him. And the only name he knew was the nickname Bubba that his family had given him. He's orphaned at the age of 4, and his sister and his aunt raised him, reading My Bondage and My Freedom. And when he went to school for the first time at the age of 9, the teacher said, "And what's your name?" And he said, "Frederick Douglass Haynes," right there on the spot. And so that, for me, in our family lore, has become a lesson in that you don't always discover who you are as much as you decide who you are. And so when it comes to the whole calling and sense of call, I have to admit that I really tried to disqualify myself from this call to ministry. I wanted to have a good time in life. I didn't see ministry and good time as being synonymous. And yet I have to testify that when I finally said yes to what I felt, was a divine calling on my life, that the fulfillment has just been absolutely remarkable. True story. I'm a student at Bishop College at the time, a school at HBCU in Dallas, and I am enamored with the ministry of Martin Luther King Jr. And so I'm reading Dr. King. Dr. King is talking about the influence of Howard Thurman on his life, and I begin to read Howard Thurman, who wrote about the importance of the, inner life, cultivating the inner life as we, move through life. And so it was through both the motto of Dr. King, because I wanted to have a ministry that was relevant to the fight for human rights in this world, and the fact that I just believe that if you believe in Jesus, you got to believe in justice. If you have faith, that faith ought to work. Which is why, again, I have so much love for Zishan, because Zishan is one who practices what he preaches without being a preacher. And so as far as I'm concerned, it is so necessary that we have that kind of mindset. So Dr. King became an early model, along with, people like Reverend Jesse Jackson and so many others who showed me that you really don't have a ministry unless, as Zishan said, it's about public service. It's about what you do for others. It's about making the world a better place, especially as it relates to correcting and transforming systems and structures that continue to produce outcomes that benefit those at the top at the expense of those who are left behind. And so all of that helped to go into my becoming, as you would say, a reverend, because I just felt that maybe there's a calling on my life to make this world a better place, not just feeding the hungry, but fighting hunger, not just being nice to those who are unhoused and giving them a handout, but fighting what it means to create systems that or as Dr. King called edifices that create poor people. We've mentioned tonight on a lot of occasions as well, we should, a public policy, a foreign policy in this country that is morally inconsistent, that is filled with so much injustice. Dr. King said, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. I'm convinced that public service, that ministry should be concerned about any injustice, be it in Palestine or be it in Paris, be it in Sudan or be it in the Congo or Haiti or Appalachia, wherever there is an injustice that produces poverty and people who are struggling, we have to take a stand. And I appreciate the fact that we can have this conversation right now, because since the ceasefire, quote unquote, that has taken place in Gaza, still you have hundreds, thousands of Palestinians who are being killed in the name of a ceasefire. Thousands of Palestinians who don't have access to health care. And how do you call yourself a person of faith who believes anything, be it God, humanity? How do you call yourself a person of faith and you're not concerned about human beings who don't have access to healing and human beings who are being treated in an inhumane fashion? And so all of that is in the mix of my being called to be a reverend.
All right, so I love that you're named after Frederick Douglass. He's the only person I quoted twice, same quote in my book. Power never concedes without a demand. It never has, and it never will. So here are two brothers who are demanding that power concede. And so I appreciate that. All right, I promised fun questions. So this will be really quick, two fun questions, and then we'll end on a serious one.
Can I say one thing real quick?
Yeah.
I think that it's worth mentioning that, Reverend Haynes and I'm an American Muslim. And as a Muslim, I actually listen to Reverend Haynes, and I would say because Reverend Haynes has done so much for so many communities, he's done much more for American Muslims than most imams have done. And to me, I have so much respect to him and this joint coalition of interfaith partnership between an American Muslim running for Congress who is being attacked by Islamophobes every single day. I have someone next to me, Reverend Haynes, this leader, this great Christian leader, but he is a leader for all Americans. And to me, as a reverend, that to me is the beauty of America. The fact that we can build these bridges and have people come together from different faiths. And I just want to say that for me, following Reverend Haynes is something that he's someone that I think is someone who is going to be a great leader, not only for his current congregation, but he's going to be a great leader for America and for a very long time to come, I hope. But sorry to interrupt you, Jim.
Yeah, no, that's okay. And no, I love Muslims and Christians coming together. It drives the people in power crazy. They're like, no, we need you guys fighting. We need you fighting, and give me all your money. Okay, so all right, now the fun part. Zishan, what's your favorite TV show that you're watching these days?
I'm trying to finish Stranger Things. The most recent season just came out, but I just haven't had time, to be honest. But my wife loves Stranger Things, so that's going to be the show.
How about you, Dr. Haynes?
Well, don't judge me. I watch old reruns of A Different World, and sometimes Basketball Wives.
Okay, no judgment here. No way. All right, and Zishan, in high school, did you play a sport or band, or what was your extracurricular activities?
So I actually was a team assistant for the soccer team. I now am a soccer coach, but the sports that I played, I played football. Surprisingly, I played football until I injured my collarbone, and that ended my football career as a freshman in JV. And then I ran cross country after that because that did not involve any physicality. So yeah, cross country.
Got you. And how about you, Dr. Haynes?
Played football my first year, and then I got cut from the basketball team. Never played basketball again. So not all black men can jump. And then I was a trackster, not a track star, but a trackster, meaning I won one race in my track career. So that's why I call myself a trackster, but not a track star.
Well, I'm right there with you. So I was a pretty good football player, but man, did I suck at track.
What position did you play, Jay?
You're gonna be shocked to find out middle linebacker.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
Nice. Of course, tackle the guy with the ball. That's what I'm good at. So that was fun. I enjoyed that. Last question is a serious one. You know, this is a couple of shows smushed into one in a sense. One of them is revolution. And so one thing we ask is, if there's one thing you could do to help basically a political revolution in this country, always nonviolent, always non-physical, of course, we're people that are of peace.
Right.
What would be the one solution that if you could press a button you would do to help fix this country and get the government back?
Wow.
Who do you want to go first, Jay?
Zishan, why don't you start?
All right, that's what I get for saying something.
Well, hey, I appreciate your courage.
No, of course. No, I think if there was one thing that I would do to make this happen is I would eliminate fear. And fear right now is at an all-time high. I think we are in a historic moment in our nation's history. Cenk, I think everyone will be asked, what did you do in 2026 when Donald Trump attempted to launch an authoritarian takeover of this country? He tried to make this into a fascist state. He launched his personal Gestapo, ICE. Part of eliminating fear would be an abolition of ICE. Yeah. Part of eliminating fear would be ending the Patriot Act. Part of eliminating fear would be ending the mass surveillance state. Part of ending fear would be removing Palantir from power. Palantir, which, by the way, Julie Johnson has made tons of money off of selling on congressional stock trading. She's made over $4.2 million in congressional stock trades in her first year in Congress while she was on the Committee on Homeland Security, ruling over Palantir. But getting rid of Palantir would be very important, and getting rid of the police state and holding people accountable, getting the Epstein files out so that people should not be afraid of their government. And I think our revolution, which is something that needs to happen, a true progressive revolution, which I think is possible, by the way. We saw it, what happened with Taylor Rumet, Christian Menefee, Analia in New Jersey. We see progressives winning all over the country right now. We saw what happened in 2025 with Zoran. There's a lot of hope, but there's also a lot of fear. People are afraid to go out and protest. People are afraid to exercise their right to vote. People are afraid. So a democracy does not exist in fear. Tyranny exists in fear. Yeah. And we are stepping and creeping towards tyranny. And so for me, the biggest thing that I would like to eliminate to create the possibility for the true progressive takeover of this country is the fear that might prevent people from being a part of the political process. The fear that prevents people from demonstrating not only against ICE, but against authoritarianism, against people that are afraid to go out and protest against Gaza because people like Brother Yaqub in Dallas have been imprisoned by ICE because they were journalists that covered ICE, that covered the atrocities in Gaza because they were covering protests about Gaza. They had been DACA recipients like Brother Yaqub that are in prison. Brother Maher, who's a Palestinian American, who is now been in prison and his son has died. Brother Marwan, another Palestinian American, who was just sending money to Palestine, and that was a crime which caused him to be in ICE detention and then getting deported. I think fear is what we need to eliminate. And if we eliminate fear, we can bring back the American democracy, because the American democracy might be crumbling. It might be being attacked, but I believe that the American democracy is something that's worth saving. And I think there's people out there that want to save it.
Yeah,
thank you for
here's a unique and good answer. And by the way, I would add to that, guys, don't stop. Like, I don't mind people scrolling. You got to find out what's true. Obviously, we're doing online media, but don't give into the doom scroll and get pessimistic and bury yourself on the couch. Get up and do something about it. And then in order to do that, you have to remain optimistic and hopeful, right? All right, Reverend Haynes, how about you? One thing you would change?
Yeah. Well, first I have to say amen to what Zishan said. That was powerful. I would just partner with him, with my progressive partner, by saying I would want to end the war on the communities that are othered in this country. The sad reality is that a war has been declared. The rap artist T.I. would say a war has been declared and we don't even know it. And every day out of the White House, a political climate is just fed that attacks and otherizes those who are not like those who are up and in, not like the billionaire class. And so the bottom line is we see every day from a testimony that took place in Congress at the hand from the mouth of someone who was supposed to be the attorney for the nation, instead engaging in blatant disrespect. While she's doing that, a bill is passed in the House that is going to literally disenfranchise millions of Americans in the political process. And so this war that is going on so many levels. And so that's why, again, ICE must be abolished. I have to say amen to what Zishan said, because these are not isolated tragedies taking place. This is a system that has been set up. And so in this nation, unfortunately, there is this all-out war that has been declared on women, on the LGBTQIA community, on every single minority in this country. There is an all-out war that has been declared. And so for me, if we're going to be the United States of America, and that is, again, being true to what we said on paper, we must end the war that says if you are not like, that means you are less than. I think that Professor Eddie Glaude talks about the value gap that exists in this country. We have a wealth gap. We have an educational gap. All of that is framed by a value gap that says that some people are valued more than others. And so until we get rid of the value gap and end the war on those who are othered and recognize that what has the possibility of making this country the most unique country in the history of humanity is our diversity. What has the possibility of making this country phenomenal is the fact that all of us bring something to the table. I like, again, as I quote Reverend Jesse Jackson, the concept of a quilt, a beautiful quilt, not a melting pot where we all melt and lose our identity, but a quilt, if you please, where we bring the beauty of our diversity into making America as possible as America can become. And so we've got to end the war on the othered.
All right, Dr. Frederick Haynes, running in Texas 30, HaynesForCongress.com. Zishan Hafiz, ZishanForTexas.com and Texas 33. We'll have the links down below. You can click on them and check out their websites and help them run clean campaigns. Are people calling Zishan the Texan Mamdani? I guess, because I just said it. Okay.
I like that.
You're too kind. You're too kind.
All right. I love it. Christians and Muslims working together and trying to bring the United States of America back together. Can't get enough of it. Thank you, guys. Really appreciate it for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us, and thank you for everything that you do. And we love your journalism. It's keep fighting the good fight, because this is a scary time, but you're giving us hope when you're what you're covering and the people that you're amplifying, the voices that you're amplifying You are giving us all hope in America. So thank you, Cenk. Thank you for
I know that's right. And let me just add, Jamel Hill, when she wrote her memoir, she said that she fell in love with journalism at Michigan State because the metaphor for journalism is to be the watchdog, protecting
Yes.
society. And Jake, let me just say, I brag on you quite often as a real watchdog, protecting what's left of this democracy, and that's how we save it. So thank you so much for being our journalistic watchdog.
That's right, brother.
You guys are too kind. I appreciate you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Everybody go support folks who are fighting for you and who are going to protect you in Congress.